Welcome back to Football Daily, and with World Cup fever in full motion, we're going to be looking at 11 players who started from the bottom. Goalkeeper, Bert Troutman. Our goalkeeper today is the legendary Bert Troutman, a man who contributed to more than just football. Raised in between World War I and World War II in Germany, Troutman joined the Luftwaffe, serving as a paratrooper fighting on the Eastern Front for 3 years. However, after being transferred, he was captured by the British as the war was ending. He was moved to a prison of war camp in Lancashire, and after the war ended was given the opportunity to return home. Troutman rejected this offer, settling in the northwest of England as a farmer and playing part-time in goal for St Helens Town. His performances in the net for his club attracted attention from Football League clubs, with Manchester City picking up the stopper in 1949. 20,000 people protested Troutman's arrival in Manchester due to his military background. However, his outstanding performances in goal soon turned the fans around, playing in all but 5 of the club's next 250 matches. Troutman entered football folklore after playing on despite injuring his neck in the 1956 FA Cup final victory over Birmingham City. 3 days later, an X-ray revealed he'd broken it. For his heroics, he was inducted into the English Football Hall of Fame in 2005. Defender, Kwan Cuadrado. Kwan Cuadrado was born in the picturesque beachside town of Nisosili in northwest Colombia. With palm trees lining the shore, it seems the perfect holiday destination. However, under the beauty is a much darker truth, with 70% of the town's population victims of violence, with Cuadrado no exception. Aged just 4, the Colombian was hiding underneath his bed from gunshots as his father Guillermo was shot and killed by an armed gang outside their family home. At such a young age, Juan had to go to work with his mother, a banana factory where he would stick stickers onto the fruit. The winger went on to live with his grandparents so he'd get an education and play football, often returning home covered in mud, having played the sport all day. Sometimes he was even locked inside to stop him from going out and playing. Nicknamed Shorty, Cuadrado joined local club Manchester Football Club, where he began to take football seriously. Eventually moving on to Independiente Medellin in 2008, the Colombian was able to refine his skills, even being re-nicknamed Garincha for his style of play. Now back in Italy with Juventus, the winger will be looking to have another stellar World Cup in Russia with Colombia. Defender, Dante. For a player you don't necessarily associate with success, Dante has a lot of it, winning 12 pieces of silverware in his 16-year career. Even going to the World Cup in 2014 with Brazil, like most of that squad, he had a hard path getting there. Brought up in Bahia, the same state as Dani Alves, Dante played football outside his mother's workplace, a sloping supermarket car park. After being rejected by a number of clubs in Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, he was offered a lucky break, a trial of Matsubara in Parana, 2,000 kilometers outside of Salvador. Dante, only 14 at the time, was told by his family that none of them had enough money to pay for his trip, so, determined to make it, the defender sold his game console for a one-way ticket to the south of Brazil. Passing the trial, he was rewarded for his boldness. After spending some time with Matsubara, Dante moved to several other Brazilian clubs, before playing in France and Belgium, eventually joining Bayern Munich in 2012 where he won the Champions League. Defender, Loran. What Spaniard has won the African Cup of Nations, Premier League and an Olympic gold medal, beating a team consisting of Puyol and Xavi? The answer, none other than Laureano Baisan Etame Maya, aka Loran. One of 22 siblings, the right-back was born in Cameroon, to parents who fled Equatorial Guinea. His father was a Director General of the Post Office and had been told to escape from the dictatorship of Macias, who'd put a warrant out for his arrest and would lead to his eventual death. 3 years after his birth, Lauren and his family moved to Sevilla. Although they weren't relatively rich, they weren't poor either, being the only black family in an affluent neighbourhood. When Loran started playing professionally, he sent most of his wages back home to his parents, and even whilst playing at the dizzy heights of Arsenal, continued to send money home for his family.
Hold up, wait right there. Are you subscribed to Football Daily? No? Then click the red button down there and you won't regret it.
Midfielder, Victor Moses. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, Victor Moses' life could be turned into a Hollywood blockbuster. When he was only 11 years old, his home was attacked and his parents were both murdered. His father was a Christian pastor, and Nigeria had conflict between different beliefs. At the time, Moses had been playing football in the streets when he was made aware of his family tragedy. Moses' life was threatened and he was forced into hiding. Just a week later, the winger headed to England to seek asylum, moving to South London where he would join Crystal Palace's academy. His career took off, first coming to people's attention at 14, when when he scored 50 goals in one season for Palace's under-14 sides. The Nigerian got his first team debut aged just 16 and managed to keep his place in the squad, featuring 16 times for the Eagles. After a 2-year spell at Wigan, Moses got his move to Chelsea. However, things didn't kick off straight away. He was sent on loan 3 times before finding his place in the squad thanks to manager Antonio Conte's formation switch. The Nigerian is currently preparing for the World Cup and will be looking to defy the odds and add a World Cup to his trophy cabinet. Midfielder Rio Madiba. Rio Madiba's life started out in a very different way to most, as he was born on board a boat in international waters during the Angolan Civil War. He later stated that he was born at sea when his birth certificate lacked a nationality. In fact, he was given the name Rio after the Atlantic waters they were crossing, as it means river. Sadly, Madiba's mother had died by the time he was 2, and his father, who had previously played for Zaire, passed away 10 years later. The midfielder threw himself into football to help with the grief. Within 7 years he'd made his professional debut, and within another 8 he had started for the French national team. He was selected in the squad for the 2014 World Cup, managing to make the quarter-finals before losing out to the eventual winners, Germany. Midfielder Luka Modric. Currently one of the best midfielders in the world, is even more impressive when you look at Luka Modric's humble beginnings. By the age of 5, Modric's life was taken over by war, as Croatia fought for independence from Serbia. Luka was named after his grandfather, who was murdered by Serbian military troops during an attack on their village. Modric's family was forced to live as refugees in a hotel. Mortars would be shot in their direction and grenades fired from the surrounding hills on the hotel's parking lot. However, once the smoke cleared, he would go out onto the same lot to play football, with shin pads made of wood fixed together by his father. As a youngster, Modric practiced dribbling through craters in the ground for training, and would often use football to escape from the madness around him. After being rejected by the team he supported, Hajduk Split, for being too small and fragile, the Croatian was accepted into Dinamo Zagreb at 16. After several loan spells, Modric made his way into the first team, becoming the driving force in their push for Europa League football. Since then, he's blossomed into a spectacular footballer, bossing the Real Madrid midfield, taking them to 3 Champions League wins in a row. Midfielder Roberto Carlos. The man who did the impossible against France, Roberto Carlos had a sparkling career, winning 24 trophies for club and country, including 3 Champions Leagues and a World Cup. The Galactico legend came from tough roots, playing without shoes, using sand inside a ball instead of air, and spending hour after hour in the fields alongside his father, pushing or pulling outrageously heavy pieces of farm machinery. All of these contributed towards his ability and stupidly large legs. He also did a huge amount of cycling, having to ride his grandfather's bike, his family's sole vehicle. A slight difference to the Bugatti Veyron he drives now. Carlos went from working in a factory to touring Europe in just 9 months, and in 1992 was called up to the Brazil squad at just 19 years old. He impressed whilst at Atlético Mineiro on loan and moved on to Palmeiras, where he won 2 consecutive titles. After almost moving to Aston Villa in 1995, the Brazilian wisely chose Italy as his next destination, playing for Inter Milan under Roy Hodgson. After a single season, the attacking defender made his way to Real Madrid, where he would spend the next 11 years, influencing the fullback position forever. Forward, Diego Maradona. Diego Maradona can be argued as the greatest player to have played the game, toying with defenders his entire career, and is one of the most iconic footballers the World Cup has ever seen. Do we even have to mention the hand of God? But Diego didn't have it easy. Born in Buenos Aires, where 30% of the population were living in poverty, the Argentine had to share a bedroom with his other 7 siblings. El Diego grew up in a city which had high rates of crime, where reports classify it as a serious problem, and where locals say you're more likely to meet someone who has been robbed than hasn't. Maradona was raised in a poor but close-knit family, and was given his first football aged 3, quickly developing his love for the game. At 10, the forward joined Los Cebollitas, a youth team of Argentinos Juniors, one of the biggest clubs in the country. Showing his ability at an early age, Maradona led his team to an incredible 136-game unbeaten streak, leading him to make his professional debut for the senior team at 15 years old. He went on to score 116 goals in 167 games for the club, and the rest was history, including several European moves to the likes of Barcelona and Napoli, along with a World Cup and 10 other trophies. Forward, Gabriel Jesus. With 13 goals and 4 assists this year in the Premier League, contributing to a goal every 98 minutes, Gabriel Jesus has had his best year yet as a professional footballer, so it's no surprise that he was included in Brazil's squad for the 2018 World Cup. Only 21 years old, Jesus has already been compared to Brazil's most famous number 9, Ronaldo. His likeness to the phenomenon is due to his pace, skill and ability to finish. However, this didn't just happen. It was due to the City player's beginnings that caused this. Born in Sao Paulo, Gabi started his career playing in the grounds of a military prison. He would have to borrow shoes from his manager, and once the training was up, the Brazilian would take home food given to him by the club so his family could eat. After developing into a fine footballer, Jesus joined Palmeiras' youth side, and in 2014 was even pictured painting the streets for the upcoming World Cup in his home state. Fast forward 4 years later, and he has his own painting in the streets, along with a €32 million move and 4 pieces of silverware including the Premier League. Not bad for a kid. Forward, Jamie Vardy. With a ticket to Russia, a Premier League winners' medal and interest from Atletico Madrid, life as Jamie Vardy must be pretty good. But it didn't start out so sweetly. Although Vardy hasn't suffered some of the hardships present in this squad, his rise to the top certainly hasn't been an easy one. At just 16, the Englishman's career in football was virtually over, when he took a place in college to study sports science, after being released from Sheffield Wednesday. Unable to stay away for long, Vardy played part-time for Stocksbridge Park Steels, whilst working at a factory making medical splints. After 4 seasons in the reserves, Vardy secured a slot in the first team and a £30 a week contract in 2007, where he would go on to play 107 games, scoring 66 goals. After securing promotion for Halifax Town 1 year later with 27 goals, and again for Fleetwood Town the following season with a tally of 31, Vardy, now 24, was making waves in the English lower tiers. A move to Leicester City in 2012 would eventually give him the chance to make history at the highest level. Whilst his first campaign with the Foxes wasn't great, scoring only 4 goals all season, his second spell was a big improvement, netting 16 in the Championship as they climbed into the Prem. From there we all know what happened, as the forward led Leicester to an unimaginable Premier League title in the 2015-16 season.
Congratulations, you've reached the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you're looking for more great content, why don't you click in this box here? And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.